Hey friends, it's Regina Cordell from reginacordell.com. Today we are talking about Season 1, Episode 2 of Abbott Elementary, titled Light Bulb. Quinta does it again. These nuances have me so tickled. Now, it's not a busting up, hold my belly, fall over, laugh, Ricky Smiley type of tickle, but it is a relatable, yes, girl, I see all of this kind of tickle. I like this show. I do like it a lot. I watch it with a big smile on my face because I've seen or been in and relate to all of these experiences. And if you watch it a few times, teachers, and I'm just jumping right in, I hope y'all are doing well. If you've been a teacher, you've worked in education, and you watch the episodes a couple times, there are so many things that you see, from the teacher shoes, the types of breakfast, somebody putting something funky in the shared refrigerator, which, you know, I learned over the years just not to use a shared refrigerator. The shared refrigerator, I used an insulated lunchbox, and I had the cold pack in it, and that was just how I did things. I just could not ever get down with that shared refrigerator. So let's just talk about this episode. The episode opens in a teacher's lounge, and I hadn't seen a well-stocked, outfitted teacher's lounge like that since I was in elementary school. They had sofas and tables, and it was inviting and clean and bright, and it had a television. I haven't, let's see, in the 20 plus years I was in education, I never experienced a TV in the teacher's lounge. That was something. Now y'all know, now Quinta, you know good and well, in some Title I school, they don't have a flat screen TV in the teacher's lounge. They barely got a new sofa. Girl, those sofas in there are from probably early 80s, late 70s, with a dip in the side where everybody just comes in and plops down. It probably still has the plastic on it, and honey, it is a sight to see. It is probably the color mauve, but I was just looking like, wow, I never had a teacher's lounge like that. And plus, the teacher's lounge is always dimly lit. It wasn't spacious or anything. And I've taught in schools that was about that size, kind of an older school, and the teacher's lounges that I experienced, they were always like rectangle. They had those like not picnic tables, those party type tables with chairs from just wherever. But that was really cute, Quinta. Then we had Miss Howard, because this was still in the teacher's lounge. The older teacher, Miss Howard, she's looking at some news program, and she's lusting over the newscaster. And I had an old colleague that she was a feisty spirited somebody. God rest her soul. She passed away a few years ago, I think a few months into COVID. And she loved newscaster Ed Bradley. So that brought back a lot of cute little memories of my former colleague, because she knew if given the opportunity, she was going to be Mrs. Ed Bradley. She wanted that man so bad. Ed Bradley was handsome, and they probably could have crossed paths, you know, back in their day, because she was an attractive lady. He was attractive man. They looked like they could, you know, do a little something. I think Ed was married though, so maybe not. So then we get to Miss Teagues. And you know, Miss Teagues is the main character if you're following the show, and it's played by Quinta. Quinta, you gave us a lot. There are so many layers here to unpack, and I'm not going to get into a think piece. Again, if you want those think pieces, the more serious topics that they pull from the show, go over to TikTok and Twitter. Follow the hashtag Abbott Elementary, and you will get those there. I'm just on these lightweight nuances. But Miss Teagues comes to school in her Toyota Corolla. Is that not every new graduate's car? That's the car you probably have from your senior year of high school. You've taken it through college, and now you have it your first year as a professional. Regardless if you are in tech, you are in teaching, or you are a nurse, that Corolla comes through every time. So in this scene, Miss Teagues is driving to school, and she has her bootleg boyfriend on the side. Now, we've seen this time and time again, and the person who illustrated it best, was it John Singleton in Baby Boy, or whoever the director was of Baby Boy, in which Jody took the car and Yvette's car while she was at work. And we see that with professional women all the time. They have these low-class boyfriends. They drop them off at work. They take their cars. They have these pipe dreams of becoming a rapper, and they're in the studio all times of night, and there's never a hit, ever. There's never a hit. There's never a song. There's never a jingle. There's never even a verse. And they tax the woman over and over with their ethics, not their ethics, their lack of ethics, their antics. And it just really drives the girl crazy. And we saw that with Miss Teagues in this episode. And so her interactions with her dude, I think his name was Tariq, really kind of underpinned her feelings throughout the episode. There were some things going on in the school that normally happen, with the light bulb being out, or things going on with the students, but whatever she had going on at home really just kind of heightened that. And that scene just really kind of disturbed me, because I've seen a lot of my colleagues have these guys in their lives, or friends have these guys in their lives, and they really tend to put a damper on anything. And so hopefully we'll see in the coming episodes that she gets rid of Tariq, because I'm glad she let it play out so people can see it, and they can also see her get rid of Tariq. Quinta, please get rid of Tariq, because he really just got on my damn nerves. And then calling saying that she needed to put gas in the car, and the professional girl, Miss Teagues, wanted him to step up and look at some things around the house and pay attention to the bills, and he's just chasing a pipe dream of never becoming a rapper. It's just really not going to happen. But we're going to move on to the next thing. Was Miss Teague being who she is, the whole Teach for America type of teacher. And so she spots more issues in the school that she wants fixed, and Miss Howard, the veteran teacher, lets her know that she needs to focus on what's within her control and not try to be Miss Goody Two-Shoes and attack every issue within the school, because as Miss Shamanti, I think that's how she says her name, she's going to burn herself out, and so she won't be able to be there for her kids because she's just doing too much. And Miss Teagues is really doing too much. First, she has a situation at home with Raggedy Tariq, and I want her to get rid of Raggedy Tariq. And then she's just doing too much in the school, because it's already enough with lesson planning, behavior management, reaching out to parents, and then just overall self-care and being a person. She has her hands in way too many things. And that's just what I want to tell those Teach for America teachers and new teachers. You can't do everything your first year. You can't do everything in your 20th year. You can do what you can do. You can impact your classroom, but just some things you're going to have to either make note and bring it to somebody's attention, or just leave it alone. And I think that's what Miss Howard was trying to convey to her without being so grumpy. Sometimes Miss Howard is grumpy, but sometimes she is helpful, like she was in this episode with Mr. Eddie. Now, Mr. Eddie is really just the sub right now that filled in for Miss Schwartz, because Miss Schwartz was fired. But Mr. Eddie was having trouble with a student who was chronically late. Now, we have that in all types of schools, from Title I to Blue Ribbon schools. Parents, whatever time is on the schedule for students to arrive, that's when they should arrive. Not a whole hour before, in which they're sitting out there alone, and not a whole hour after. Arrive to school on time. So Mr. Eddie was having this issue with this little boy who was coming late. The principal tried to blame him for the kid coming late. Miss Ava, y'all, look, I don't like Miss Ava at all. Miss Ava, that character, she reminds me of one of my former principals, and she was similar to Miss Ava, not as animated. She was close. She called herself the cleanup woman. She said, and she told me this like one of my, I think it was my first week at her school. And they just called me the cleanup woman in this county because, they'll put me in schools from this year and that year, and I'll get everything cleaned up, and I'm just going to end up cleaning up this whole county. And you never know, I may end up being the superintendent and you can come work for me. Not. No, ma'am, I will not come work for you. And we all know how that worked out. But that is another conversation for another time, probably on the podcast. But anyway, let's move on because we don't want to do this to Abbott Elementary. So I don't really like Ava's character because she reminds me of that lady, but child, it is what it is. Let's go back to Mr. Eddie. Mr. Eddie was having trouble with the little kid, and he really didn't want to talk to the mom because the mom seemed like a little hopper that would pop off, and he just really didn't want those kind of problems. And as a teacher, I've seen that too. You just have certain parents that will come in and you just know that they're going to pop off, or it's some kind of something all the time, and you just really try to limit your interactions. But he didn't make the first effort to know if that was true or false. So Miss Howard encouraged him to reach out to him, and that really turned out pretty good. Moving right along, right with Miss Teagues. Now, Miss Teagues' busybody self, she tried to fix the light issue in the hallway because a student brought it to her attention that the hallways looked pretty creepy because the lights would always flash and it was dimly lit, and she was scared to come to school because of that. And so Miss Teagues went on this whole little mission to fix it, and really she made it worse after the custodian told her that don't bother with it, or somebody told her not to bother with it. And he had a little sign on the breaker box, not to touch this, that, and the other. It was rigged up so only he knew how to do it, and she touched it and broke it. And that's what it was. And it's really like that in schools. There's a person who's been there a long time, and they know how things work, and only they know how to fix those issues. So if they are absent or they retire or whatever, then you're just kind of left in limbo until they come back, if they ever come back. Now let's go to the next point of Miss Howard. That's the veteran teacher, played by Shirley Roth, going to the nail salon during her break. Now this is what kicked off a storm on TikTok. There was a lady, and I forgot her name, but we're going to call her the white savior teacher. She was saying how that doesn't happen, and she was just really speaking negatively about some of the Black experiences highlighted in this show. And the people were saying, well, what's the problem with Miss Howard going to get her nails done during her time, because it is her contractual time for her to do whatever she wants. And she was saying, well, I work in Atlanta public schools, and this never happens in Atlanta. Ma'am, it does. It absolutely does. It happens more than you know. You're just not privy to the information. And that's what the teachers were saying to her in their replies. And so she was purposefully ignoring some of the Black experiences or discounting it and being condescending. And she ended up having to make an apology because the people really went after her, and rightfully so. But like Quinta pointed out, teachers do certain things if they can on their prep period, if they have enough time. I remember, I think around my third or fourth year teaching, I had my lunch period and my prep period were together, and we were on a block schedule. So the block schedule, I think it was about an hour and 15 minutes or an hour and 45 minutes. Then plus my 30-minute lunch, I had a pretty hefty block of time in which it was my free time or prep time. And so I would leave the building, I would get lunch, I would get my nails done. And I think during that time they had like little photo shops at the mall. I was so addicted to taking pictures at those little photo booths. I would do that. And so teachers leave the building all the time. to either get lunch, get their hair done, get their nails done, run some errands, pay bills. I don't think people pay bills at stores anymore, but that has happened during my time of teaching. Now let's keep moving on. Something that did tickle me, which kind of resonated with me, was what Miss Howard said, "Who shot John?" My 5th grade teacher, he used to say that all the time. Y'all don't come in here with all of that. Who shot John? That means she didn't really want us to gossip and tell her all of this miscellaneous stuff that happened on the playground. I thought that was hilarious. Now back to Miss Teagues. Miss Teagues had a lot on her plate. So you guys know she is the busybody teacher. She was stressed out about some things that were going on. You can tell she's a very giving person. And you find that a lot with teachers. And so she was doing that in her relationships at work and at home. And in this instance, her boyfriend, Tariq, drove away with her car. He didn't put any gas in the car. He wasn't helping out. And then she was just still so sweet. She gave up her breakfast to give to him. And then she was doing all the things within the building. She didn't eat her lunch. And so she just became overwhelmed with stress and not eating, and she fainted at work. Teachers, do not do this. Take care of yourself. This was a moment that Quinta highlighted and pointed out that it's so important for teachers to take care of themselves. Teacher self-care is very, very important. Now, in the background, Mr. Eddie noticed all of this, and I think he may be getting sweet on Miss Teagues. So he offered by the end of the show to take her to lunch, get a bite to eat. And then it was written in that the other guy, I think his name is Mr. Hill, the other little Teach for America Savior guy, came in and invited himself to lunch. So hopefully that didn't make it so awkward for them to go have lunch after work, because that really does happen. It was many a day that I went to dinner or lunch with my colleagues, and we had quite a good time. So the whole show was, I think, to talk about self-care, also to talk about professional women not dating down, not dating Tariq, not dating these wannabe rappers that are never going to come through and do what they need to do. And also listening to veteran teachers, because they're not always grumpy, because the situation worked out with Mr. Eddie. The parent began to bring the child to school on time, gave him his kudos and thanked him for caring about her child. Because sometimes, believe it or not, some of the things that we think are just common sense or just important, others don't realize its importance. Like, she thought that in the morning time the kids were just playing with blocks, so there was really no need to get him there on time. And the teacher communicated what happens in the time that the child is missing. The parent understood, and it was cleared. And that's all for episode 2 of Abbott Elementary. Light bulb, check it out. ABC, join the discussion. #Abbott Elementary. And I will see you on the next episode.